Okay, so we're doing notes for arithmetic sequence, and there's actually a formula that goes with arithmetic sequence and geometric sequence. So this is our formula right here. AN equals A1 plus D times N minus 1. AN is more like a label. It's not, it can be a value, it can have a value, but it just means A for the nth term. So A7 would be the 7th term, A10 would be the 10th term. So it means the 10th line out, what number is sitting on that line, okay? N is the number of terms that you have. A1 is always your beginning number. It's always what you're starting with. And D is the amount being added or subtracted. So we know that from Wednesday, right?
Right.
Yeah, everything is fine. Okay, so now there's different ways that you can figure out, and you're always going to be missing one thing, and that's the thing that you're looking for. So in the first one, find A5 when A1 equals 2 and D equals 4. So look back in your formula now. Do we know AN? In this case, what's our N?
5.
What? 5. How do you know that, Haley?
Because it says find A5.
Which means find the 5th term, right? So now we know our N equals 5. So we don't know what A5 is. That's what we're looking for. What's our A1? DJ, what's our A1? 2. Plus, what's our difference? 4. What's our N? 5. Minus 1. Now we're just figuring that number out. That's easy, right? Okay. So what's 5 minus 1? 4 times 4. 16. What's 2 plus 16? 18. So the 5th term is 18. And if we check that, here's an easy way to check it. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our 5 terms, right? What did we start with? What was our A1? 2. And what were we adding each time? What's our D? 4. So we're adding 4 each time. What's 2 plus 4?
6.
Plus 4?
10.
Plus 4?
14.
Plus 4?
18.
Oh, that's what we ended up with. It's just a mathematical way to do it so that you don't have to write out line after line after line and keep adding, right? Okay, so now there's a different problem. Find N. Anytime it says find N, find A5, that's what you don't know. Find N when AN, that value of AN equals 18, A1 equals 3, and D equals 3. So who wants to try and fill in my equation for me? Haley?
18 equals 3 plus 3 times N.
18 is my AN value, so that's going to be on the left side of my equation. Good. A1 is what?
3.
3 plus
3.
3 times, what's my N?
It doesn't have.
Doesn't have one. That's what we're looking for, right? Good.
Yeah.
Minus 1. So you can do this a couple of different ways. What's one way I could solve that equation, Madison?
You could add the 6's and then, add the 3's and then.
Can I? Can I add those 3's together first?
No, you
No.
have to.
Abby?
You have to distribute them.
That's one way I can do it. I can distribute, right? So I would get 18 equals 3 plus 3n minus 3. Now conveniently, what's 3 minus 3?
0.
So those cancel out. Now you just have 18 equals 3n. Now what do I do, Eli?
You divide by 3 on both sides.
And so n equals
6.
6. So the 6th term should be 18. If I start with 3, and I add 3 each time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I started with 3. What's 3 plus 3?
6.
Plus 3?
9.
Plus 3?
12. 15. 18.
So that checks out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, last one. Now we need to find D. We need to find the difference. And this number is not right. That should be a negative 19. We figured that out in the 4th period yesterday. I made it a geometric sequence instead of an arithmetic. Okay, find D when A6 equals negative 19 and A1 equals 1. So, do we know our N?
Yeah.
What's our N?
6.
How do you know that?
Because in the sequence it says A-N. So wouldn't you just put A6?
Because it says A6, so that tells us that's our N term right there. So N equals 6. Okay? So, Sarah, can you fill in my equation for me? Do we have a value for A N?
Yes,
Negative 19 equals, what's your A1? 1 plus, do you know your difference? No, that's what we're looking for, right? Find D. D times, what's your n value? 6 minus 1. Good. So we have negative 19 equals 1 plus D times what, 6 minus 1? 5. Okay. How do I solve that?
You distribute.
I can. So D times 5 is just 5D, right?
Yeah.
What do I need to move?
The negative, the 1.
The 1. How am I going to move it?
Subtract the 1.
Subtract 1. Good. So negative 20 equals 5D. What does D equal? Negative 4. So let's check that and see if that's really true. So we started with 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're subtracting 4 each time. What's 1 minus 4?
Negative 3.
Negative 3 minus 4
Negative 7.
minus 4
Negative 11.
minus 4
Negative 15.
minus 4.
Negative 19.
Woohoo! Checks out. Okay? So there's actual mathematical formula to figure out your arithmetic sequence. Okay? Now flip it over. Geometric has the same thing. What's the difference between an arithmetic sequence and a geometric sequence? Hey, Abby?
Arithmetic is adding or subtracting, geometric is multiplying.
Excellent. So one is adding, arithmetic is adding or subtracting, and geometric is multiplying or dividing. Okay, so here's our formula for geometric sequence. AN, same thing. It's the value of the nth term. A1, this would be an A sub 1. Not an A1. Times, except now we have R that we use for the ratio. How much is being multiplied by each time? The n is still the number of terms minus 1. Okay. All right, so now we have the same thing again. The only difference in this equation, it's a little bit different the way it's set up. This is your beginning number. The R is what is being multiplied or divided by each time, and now you're raising it to an exponent. Because remember, we talked about geometric sequences grow a lot faster than arithmetic. Arithmetic kind of grow at a nice steady pace. Geometric grow at an exponential rate. They're going to get really big really fast or really small really fast. So, first one. So find A4 when A1 equals 8 and R equals negative 3. So, Leilani, do you know what your number of terms is? If it says A4, what's our n? Yep, so n equals 4, good. So now see if you can fill in that formula for me. Do we know A4? No, that's what we're looking for. So A4 equals, what's your A1? 8 times, what's your rate? Negative 3 to the, what's your n? 4, good, minus 1. Okay, so A4 equals 8 times, and now here's where we have to be careful with our PEMDAS. Really, really, really careful. What do you have to do in PEMDAS first? Do you multiply or do the exponents first?
You,
Exponents, right? Always. That's a common mistake, to multiply those together and then raise it to the third power. That is not correct. You always have to do the exponents first. So, Ryan, you want to figure out negative 3 to the third power for me? What's negative 3 times negative 3? Negative or positive? What's a negative times a negative? Positive 9 times negative 3. Positive or negative? Negative times a positive? Negative 27. Good. So it's 8 times negative 27. So, you know, when you're at home doing your homework, if you were to use a calculator on that, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But 8 times 20 is 160. 8 times 7 is 56, so it's negative 216. So A4 equals negative 216. And if we started it and we had 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, because, oops, right? And we started with 8 and we multiplied it by negative 3 each time. That would be negative 24, 72, and that would be negative 216. So it checks out. Okay? All right, second one. What are we finding this time? What does it say? Nate, what does that say?
Find n when a n equals 250.
Good, so we don't know what n is, right? We need to find that. Do we have a value for an? Yes, where does that go? Michaela, where does that go, on the left side of the equation or the right side of the equation?
Go left side.
Left side, so 250 equals, what's my A1, Michaela?
2,
2 times, what's my rate?
5.
5 to the n minus 1, because I don't know what n is, right? Okay, so what can I do to both sides? Is there something I can divide out?
The 2 and the 2.
Good, I can divide 2 from both sides. Good. So we have 125 equals 5 to the n minus 1. So I'm trying to figure out 5 to what power gives me what 125?
5 to the 5th.
Is it to the 5th?
Or to
So let's try. 5 times 5 is what?
25.
Times 5 is?
50. No, I don't know.
If you have 5 quarters, you have
125.
125, right? So 125 is the same thing as 5 to the 3rd, right? So we need to make this over here, n minus 1, be the same thing as 3. So we can set that equal to each other. What minus 1 gives you 3?
Negative 2.
Think about that for a second. How do I solve that?
Oh, 4.
4. How do you know that? Because you add 1, right? So n equals 4. Good. Okay, last one. Now we need to find the rate. Now we need to figure out what it's being multiplied by each time. So, do we have a value for n? What's our value for n?
4.
4. Good. Okay, so Percy, you want to try and fill in my equation for me? What's my A4 value?
What?
What's my A4 value?
Negative 27.
Negative 27 equals, what's my A1 value? 1. What's my rate? Do we know? Nope, don't know what my rate is. And what's my n value? 4 minus 1. Good. So, is 1 times the rate just the same thing as the rate?
Yes.
Yeah, so we can just kind of ignore that, right? We can just cancel that out. So, what's 4 minus 1?
3.
3. So, something to the 3rd power gives us negative 27.
3.
You're very close. Think about this for a second because it gives you a negative 27, Nate.
Oh, negative.
Negative 3.
Negative 3, good. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, times another negative 3 would give you negative 27. So negative 3 to the 3rd power gives you 27, negative 27. Okay? Good? All right. Those are your notes. When you're working on your homework, please refer back to these if you have a question.